It's Throwback Thursday, and what year we throwing it back to, and why?
2007, because that's the year that Coach Dave Merritt won his first Super Bowl.
Oh, wow. Coach Dave Merritt, it's an interesting segue because he's sitting right next to Pam and I
Yes.
up in the studio. This gentleman, been rocking with us for a long, long time, and Raleigh Wood, stand up, and I mean that seriously. Young man from Raleigh, went to NC State, and left there and went to the league, and he's been there ever since as a player and as a coach, and we're so happy to have five-time.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Five-time Super Bowl winner, Coach David Merritt. What's up, man? How you
doing great. Doing great.
Wait, no, we got a lot to talk about, so let's get to it. So, Coach, you are from Raleigh.
Yep.
Let's talk about the segue from being born here, where you went to school.
Yep.
How you got to where you are right now. Talk about that a little bit, if you will.
Yeah. David Merritt, of course, as we've talked about, born in South Raleigh, Apollo Heights, and was born and raised there, and then end up going out to middle school, out West Millbrook, and that was during the time of the busing system.
Okay.
So, back in the 70s, they started realigning everything. So the busing system shipped a lot of kids from South Raleigh out, north. And so, anyway, went to Millbrook from there and played for Earl Smith there in Millbrook, and moved from Millbrook, and I decided that I was going to possibly, start flipping burgers or tossing pizza. But one of my buddies told me that you need to go to college, and so end up going to college and went to NC State. And after NC State, man, everything went uphill from there. I won't say downhill because I met my bride.
That's awesome.
And I came up when I met her.
Oh, wow.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Wow. Incredible. So then you played football at NC State?
Yep. So ended up playing ball there at NC State. I didn't think I was a football player, to be honest with you. I thought I was a basketball player, but my high school coach told me that I was never going to grow any taller. He said, you're going to grow wider but not taller. So I didn't believe him at the time, but it was true. So, I played linebacker at NC State and went on from there. I was drafted by Don Shula down with the Miami Dolphins and ended up playing a couple of years in NFL for a couple of legendary coaches. Played for Don Shula, played for Joe Beagle, played for Buddy Ryan out in Arizona when he was out there for 2 years. So it's been great. It's been awesome.
And how did you segue from being a player into the coaching profession?
Yeah, tell you, my college coach, Buddy Green, at NC State, I told him when I was there actually playing at NC State that one day I want to get into coaching, and he thought I was joking. And I didn't know if I was serious at the time, but I think God planted a seed in my spirit a long time ago. So I went off, played pro ball, and all of a sudden I was in NFL Europe. And finishing up my career, because during that time you had to be a young guy to go to NFL Europe, where Buddy Ryan didn't allow me to go as an allocated player. So when I became a free agent, I went over to NFL Europe, and that's actually when I retired. So when I thought about retiring, Chris Carter was a good friend, or still is a good friend of mine, the wide receiver.
Yes.
He came over and revealed a dream about me retiring, and I thought it was a dream. And so, but the things he said, no one could have known other than he and God.
Interesting.
And so when he revealed this dream about retiring, and he said, move in God's timing, because you don't know when that door is going to open again.
Right.
So I called Buddy Green, and I told him that I was going to retire, and he kind of chuckled. Now, I'm calling him from Germany. Right. I'm over in Dusseldorf, Germany. We played in the World Bowl in '97 versus John Kittner. So called Buddy Green, and I told him I was going to retire, and he said, I believe it when you show up here. So I get back to the States after we played in the World Bowl. We lost to John Kittner and those guys in '97. And I take my wife and my son, David Jr., and we get in a car driving from Charlotte to Chattanooga, Tennessee, because that's where Buddy Green was the head coach and the active AD at the time.
Yeah.
So we drive down to Chattanooga, Tennessee. In Chattanooga, I don't know how many hours it is from Charlotte, but we knock on his door that summer, and he thought he had seen a ghost. And I said, Coach, here I am. You said you would have a job for me if I retire. And sure enough, do you know this is how God works? What Chris Carter said in Germany, Buddy Green, linebacker coach, had just left 2 weeks prior to me showing up.
Wow.
And therefore, he
Awesome.
moved me into a restricted earnings position. My wife and I went down there. She didn't work. I made $10,000 for the season. Here I am, a former NFL player, and I was, in my spirit, humble enough to go down to be able to come back up. And so I made $10,000 for the season. Greg Gianimo, he owned a restaurant there. Greg and I played college ball at NC State, and Buddy said, "You're going to be fine. We have Papa John's for you, and you can eat at Greg Gianimo's restaurant." So that's
So
what we
as long
ate
as you
for the
can
whole
eat,
season.
and you got room and board,
That's
basically.
right. That's right.
What
that's
an amazing
my story.
Oh my God, what an amazing story.
That is an amazing story. Wow.
We're talking to
Well, I asked.
five-time Super Bowl
Yeah,
champion
yes.
Dave Merritt.
Yeah.
I want to go back somewhere in the middle of that story. I was reading about, talking about these fans that are cheering for the Chiefs, and
Yep.
you had a whole city. Small town
Yep.
that you lived at for a long time, Nutley, New Jersey.
Oh,
I did my
Yes.
research.
yes.
Nutley.
Yeah.
I never heard of that place. It must be real small.
Yes, but it's real special to you. And they were super excited, and they're so proud of you, and enough that people interviewed to talk about Nutley. So tell us about
Wow.
Nutley and why it was special. And
That's. I'm glad you brought that up. So when I left the New York Jets, I was living on Long Island, East Meadow, or North Belmore.
That's where he's from. He's from
And-
Long Island.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
All right.
anytime from Long Island.
516. I still have the area code.
516, yeah.
516 area
Sir.
code. So I was over living on Long Island, New York, and I end up moving from there right across the river. I didn't have to call a moving company. I just packed up a U-Haul, and my wife and I just moved 14 miles right across the river.
Yeah.
So we moved to Nutley, Clifton, Newark area. So it's all right there together. So Nutley is a small Italian town and have the best pizza in the world. All right. Ralph's Pizza is the best. So, but anyway, so we moved there, and at the time I wanted to stay close to the facilities. So my wife decided that this was going to be the best place for us. And I went into the township, and I just trust Yolanda and what she was going to set up for our family. So when we moved there, immediately, because I watch a lot of gangster movies. And I'm seeing all these Italian people.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sitting here saying to myself, wait a minute, baby, make sure you don't say one word at any basketball game, football game. Just be quiet. Someone starts fussing at our kids, just don't say anything. And so, but in doing that, what I did was I just sat back and observed Nutley and the Nutley Knights. And what they did was they opened their arms to us before even knowing who we were. And so it wasn't them judging us off of our skin color.
Right.
And so when I saw that, and it took me a little bit, and when I saw that, that's when I said, wait a minute, this place may be special. So we spent 14 years in Nutley, New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
Had a chance to move to other areas of the state. But we decided that we moved from one spot over to a house, and then we moved back to that same area. And so we moved 3 times within the city of Nutley because our family grew. We went from 2 kids to 3 kids to 4 kids, and she wouldn't leave me alone. So I said, baby, enough is enough. so anyway, so Nutley, New Jersey is very special to my heart. Tom Greco, Dana Malillo, all the people that are there, Greg Bevere. I mean, so many people I can just keep naming.
Wow.
But so many people were there that supported the Merritts, not because of what we did, but who we are. And so that was very special to me.
yeah, that's a
man,
special story.
we are rocking with Super Bowl champion David Merritt, who is from Raleigh, and of course is a big supporter of the sports shop, and so happy to have him in the studio. So okay, so let's get into the. So you the Giants.
Yep.
So you coached with the Giants.
Yep.
How long did you coach with them?
I was there with the Giants for 14 years.
Oh, New York Football Giants,
Yep.
and in the 14 years, you went up against one particular guy that everybody says the greatest to ever do it. Now he may be challenged now with another guy that's on your team, but
Yes.
Tom Brady. But you beat Tom twice.
Yeah, it was Tom is a friend still today, and I end up leaving the Jets in 2003.
Okay.
Moved over to the Giants, And Tom Coughlin hired me, and all of a sudden we drafted Eli Manning in 2004, where Eli actually was drafted by the Chargers, I believe, at the time.
Yep, that's right.
He and his dad said that they were not going to play there, and the deal came down, and we ended up getting them there with the Giants. So moving forward and talking about us there, Tom ruled with the iron fist, and I remember going into the 2007 season. I had a chance to come home to work for Mr. O'Brien, who was the NC State head coach.
Tom O'Brien. So you worked at NC State?
I had a chance to come home.
You had a chance.
And what Tom decided for my family and I is that you're not going to NC State. You're going to sit here and weather this storm. So I was trying to run from a challenge to Coach Coughlin, and we were on our 4th year, possibly getting ready to get fired. The ownership told Tom that either you make it to the playoffs and win a playoff game or else. So, well, we did one a little better. We turned around and we got into the playoffs, and Steve Spagnuolo actually – who's been a good friend of mine before I even got to the Giants.
Okay.
He was the coordinator, his first time ever coordinating in 2007. He was there for 2 years, 2007, 2008.
Yes.
We end up going on at the end of that season in 2007 and defeating the undefeated Patriots.
Yes.
Defeating an undefeated
team.
That's what we did. They
That's
were
what y'all
18-0.
did.
Yeah.
18-0. So that was a big win. And then we turned around and we did it 4 years later. And we beat them again in another Super Bowl.
That's amazing. So, wow. But were you coaching linebackers? What position were you coaching in?
So when I first got to the Giants, I was a quality control coach. That is a guy who does a lot of the grunt work. So Tom Coughlin only had one position that was available. That one position that was available was quality control. Now I left the Jets. I was linebackers coach, assistant with Bob Sutton, and then I came to the Giants, and I needed a job, and I didn't have one. And Tom offered me quality control. So my first year, I was a quality control. Then I became a defensive assistant. Only thing they do is just change your title. You're still doing the same work. So all these titles, that's all they're doing. All right, now you're a defensive assistant. Well, I'm still quality control.
Right.
So for 2 years, I did that with Tom Coughlin,
That's
and
funny.
then he offered me the secondary job.
Okay.
And so I went from that, and then while I was quality control, I worked with the linebackers. I was assistant with the backers. But then I moved into the secondary, in 2006. And so rest is history.
That's interesting because I was trying to say you segue if I know as a linebacker, then DB, what you're doing right now.
We're talking to Dave Merritt on his journey to 5 Super Bowl championships. And so we want to highlight some of your favorite stories and people that you've been around. And so I want you to give me your favorite story about Michael Strahan.
Oh, Michael Strahan. My favorite story about Michael Strahan is this. He and Tom Coughlin were like 2 rams just cramming each other.
That's interesting.
All right. And so it was oil and vinegar from day one. So 2004, 2005, 2006, Michael Strahan hated Tom Coughlin because of his rules of 5 minutes early, no tennis shoes in a hotel. You had to wear slacks. There was no flip-flops. You couldn't wear jeans. You had to wear a complete full dress outfit for away games. So Tom Coughlin was a stickler for the little things. Well, Michael Strahan didn't like that. Obviously, he came from Jim Foster, who was one of my offensive coordinators when I played in the league at the Cardinals, but it was a little looser than Mike was, than Tom was used to. So Mike, all of a sudden, he started to rebel. So what Mike would do before every team meeting, if that's the door that all the players are supposed to enter to go into the team meeting room, Mike would stand outside the door, look at the clock until a minute before it turned 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. Mike would stand at that door and eat breakfast until it was time for him to walk in the meeting. He did that 3 years in a row.
Wow. Talk about being rebellious.
Rebellion. And then all of a sudden he retires and decides that he's not going to play. So we didn't have him all spring. The Giants were upset. We were kind of upset. No problem. Michael Strahan comes back in doing training camp in 2007. And Tom had formed this 5-man committee. And it was basically they were going to give him the heartbeat of the locker room. Michael Strahan was one of those guys, and Tom promised that he would change, and he did. Tom Coughlin changed who he was as a coach. to suit the players of today's generation.
That's so interesting.
Ooh, that's a great story.
Yeah, I know. And I always, because even when he was in college, he was kind of like a general kind of guy.
That's right.
And then he has a general attitude. But it's interesting you mentioned Strahan and Kaufman. And fast forward, we saw the situation between Kelce and Andy Reid.
Right.
And that's the first thing I was thinking about. But people said that Strahan, they brought him Strahan as them, some other a player and a coach, they battle sometimes like
That's
that.
right. That's right. It happens all the time. And I didn't see that live. Now, I was at a game. I don't know if it was a playoff game or the regular season game where Travis and Andy Reid kind of went at it a little bit. And Andy was going after Travis because of something he said when he walked by and bumped him. I actually grabbed Coach Reid and stopped him from doing what he did. And the next day I had to apologize to him. But he's a big man.
Right.
You trying to hold him back. I mean, you're trying to hold a big buffalo back or something.
Right.
He's a big, strong man.
Yeah.
So I went in Andy's office the next day. I said, Coach, I apologize, but the look in your eyes and what you were about to do, I said, I couldn't allow that to happen. And he said, no, I thank you for stopping me.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many stories. We rock with David Merritt, who have a plethora of lot of stories, and we
Yes,
want to hear
especially
all
that
of
one. We got to unpack that one.
Yeah. So, but of all the Super Bowls that you've been involved in, which one kind of rises to the top of special?
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
The 07 team, I never thought that team could be. I didn't think no one could actually top that run that we had in 07 when we beat the 18-0 Patriots.
Yeah.
Because we go down to Tampa, beat Tampa Bay in Tampa. Then we go on the road to Dallas, who was the number 1 seed at the time in the NFC.
Hey, Dallas that must have been 1985.
What? Watch it.
Uh-oh.
She's a Cowboys
Watch
fan.
it.
That's right. We're going to get to you in just a second. So, because y'all win it every year. Every year you guys win it, but that's okay. And I grew up a Cowboy fan. And my mom was a Cowboy fan. So, but anyway, what happened was, we turn around and we go on this tremendous run.
Right.
We go Tampa. We go to Dallas. That's when T.O. actually said, "This is my quarterback."
Yeah.
He was crying.
Yeah, he was crying.
That
This
was
is my
the year-
teammate.
That's right. That's the year that we beat him. All right. And so then we move from there and go to Green Bay and beat Favre in Lambeau. And his last pass in Lambeau was to one of my guys, Corey Webster, who played out of LSU.
Yep.
We drafted in the second round. And then we, of course, move on to play the big bad Patriots, who had beaten us at the end of the season 35-38.
And that's when Randy Moss was with him, too,
Randy
right?
Moss had the highest scoring offense in the league.
Yeah.
So they had beaten us at the last game of the season. And then we turn around and we play them again. And they actually, during the press conference, asked Plexico Birds, how you think you guys are going to do? Plexico said, our defense is going to kill them. We're going to beat them 21-17. They told Tom Brady the score that Plexico called out. And this is the highest scoring team in NFL history at the time. They told Tom Brady what Plexico had said as far as the final score, 27-17. Tom Brady actually laughed and chuckled in front of a national media, and that was the soundbite for us the rest of the week.
Really?
Antonio Pierce was our starting linebacker.
Who's now the Raiders head
coach.
Yeah.
I brought Antonio. I didn't bring him into it, but I picked him up. I was coaching linebackers at the time. I brought him into the Giants in 07. I'm sorry, 05. All of a sudden, we heard that soundbite from Tom Brady laughing, chuckling about the score. It did everything we needed it to do. Motivation.
Wow,
Not 21-17. We beat them, of course, 17-14.
Wow.
So they didn't score 17. They scored 14.
Man, that's incredible. We're going to hear some more stories, man. But because was that the game that the
helmet catch? David Tyree. Yep.
Is Eli first ballot, though?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Playoff Eli.
That's why I said
Eli.
And he has a right last name too. So
give me playoff Eli, not necessarily regular season Eli. Give me playoff Eli.
Hey,
there's a difference.
Eli showed up, man. We're gonna hear more with this guy, man. We got Dr. Strobel coming on the side. So I think she got some questions for you.
Awesome.
D. Strobel, but man, we was 5-time Super Bowl champion. Roddy Wood, stand up, man. A great guy. I mean, even a better person, man. Keep it locked in. We got D.L. Reese on the Pam Thomas Smith the Frame. David Merritt, A-Town. See you on the side. Let's rock.
The cameras here and the